Hi, this is Jen Janako with the Student Academic Success Center here at UNE. This knowledge nugget is about ePortfolio. It's the 2023 Halloween edition. I'd like to start with a quick acknowledgement that I got this presentation template from Slides Carnival. Images that are included are by Unsplash. So first, what is an ePortfolio? An ePortfolio is an electronic portfolio or a website that students create and organize and include reflections about their learning, artifacts, and other things that demonstrate their knowledge and skills. They're not just built through academic work, but also through experiences and co-curricular work. Also, ePortfolios show a student's digital literacy in that they are creating their own website, and they can also include multimodal projects. So unlike a paper portfolio, an e-portfolio can include an audio project, video, blog projects, all demonstrate a level of proficiency with digital tools. Finally, e-portfolios create authentic audience, meaning that the work that students do does not just have to stay in a classroom or just get sent to the professor and nobody else sees it. So it allows students to share their work both inside and outside of the university. And I'd like to begin by showing you a little bit about what it's like for students who use ePortfolio to share outside of the university. Here is a very short excerpt of an interview that I had with a nursing major named Armand, where he talks about his experience sharing his ePortfolio outside of the university.
But the main job I wanted looked at it, and it's at a PACU, and the nurse manager who I was having an interview with, the first 15 minutes of the interview was very, very standard. It's like, what's your 6-year plan or 5-year plan? How do you interact with colleagues? How do you interact with clients? And it was just like a normal interview. And then, I don't know, like 15 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, and she said, so tell me a little bit about this clinic you want to build in Iran. I forgot I put my ePortfolio at the bottom. So I was taken aback a bit. So I asked her, I'm like, so I will answer that, but how do you know that? She's like, oh, it's because I looked at your UNE ePortfolio. And we had a great conversation about my UNE experience. We talked about some client experiences I had within HIPAA regulations, of course. But yeah, we had this great conversation, and I always think a great interview, it feels like a conversation. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things we could talk about from UNE, that my ePortfolio from UNE, that it made it a really easy interview.
If we think about ePortfolio by the numbers, there's 20 plus years of literature from around the world that supports ePortfolio use. At UNE, we have 250 to 300 new users each term, and a total of about 4,500 undergraduate sites. We make our ePortfolios using WordPress software, which is an open source software, which allows students also to download all of the content of their ePortfolio easily and upload it onto their own site if they would like to take it with them. UNE hosts their site for up to a year after graduation, and we'd like to encourage students to try to take some of their work with them. But even if they decide not to, and even if they decide not to share their portfolios, the process of going through, reflecting on their learning, collecting information, and thinking about their work as they go allows them to be better prepared, not only in interviews, but just to understand their skill sets. So what makes an ePortfolio high impact? I've highlighted the words that I think are most important here in white, but I will give you a second to read over this quote. So to me, the key here is reflecting and connecting their learning across academic and co-curricular learning experiences, because it shows higher order thinking and integrative learning. Oftentimes, students go through their courses not really thinking about how they all fit together or where they make connections between the content and the skills they're building. So that last piece of constructing a purposeful identity is also a really important part of high impact practice when it comes to ePortfolio. ePortfolio has been called the one hip to rule them all. So when we look at high impact practice, part of the reason why ePortfolio could be considered the one to rule them all is because it's a place where students can really highlight all of their other high impact practices and experiences. Probably a lot of the work that you do connects to at least one or more of these high impact practices. And so, really, ePortfolio would just be a place where students can notice what they learned and how they learned it, and also be able to capture that learning and that reflection around it. There are a couple of different types of ePortfolios. There's a learning portfolio or assessment portfolio, which then can lead to career or showcase portfolios with curation. So, a learning portfolio focuses more on the process, not just the product. Also includes reflections along the way to talk about progress toward their goals, and also includes some self-assessments and adjustments that highlight their growth and persistence through their learning. An assessment portfolio basically takes the form of connecting to program outcomes or learning objectives at UNE in English 110 composition. That helps students understand what the learning outcomes are, and as they explain how they think they did or did not meet the learning outcomes, they are able to highlight what they learned. Assessment portfolios are also used by the university to gather data over time, although with our program, students are in control of their sites, so there's not necessarily going to be a record of the site along the way, more so how it's curated by the end. So speaking of curation, a career or a showcase portfolio can be created through a capstone course, but it also can be taken from those various learning experiences through the years at UNE. It can connect across the curriculum and experiences, again with attention to soft skills. It can be shared externally, either to grad schools or potential employers. Next, we'll do a short tour of a couple of current UNE portfolio sites. In our grad school programs, we tend to see ePortfolio used more through capstone. In the undergrad, it's a mix. The examples I'll show, some require ePortfolio as part of the programming and others do not. Our first example is Isaac. Isaac came to UNE with considerable digital skills already, but he built them as he was here as well. Here you see his About Me page. He highlights the ways that he is a good communicator. As a marine affairs major, he highlights his communication skills and also his content skills. In marine, the capstone project is where ePortfolio is connected. Isaac has highlighted other examples of his digital skill set, including his CMM 240 course. Isaac is a senior this year, so he will probably do some curation before he's finished with his portfolio, but you'll notice that he includes images, multimodal text plus image, podcasting, so lots of different types of examples, including on his About Me page about some of the social media work that he's done professionally. Isaac also highlights other professional elements, such as his visit to the Augusta State House, and he also will be adding some information about his innovation projects. Our next example is Lexi's portfolio. Lexi is a nursing school graduate of 2023. In her portfolio, she highlights on her About page the experience that she comes into UNE with. She's got some related EMT experience and some work as a local firefighter. She also highlights her nursing coursework in plain terms so people outside of UNE could understand what her reflections connect with. And she's got her professional space here, and then other examples of the way that she has shown leadership, goal setting, career development, and working with vulnerable populations, as well as her service learning. Probably most interesting to me about Lexi's site is that she also includes categories that help people understand what is it that she did outside of her coursework and the concepts that stretch across multiple courses. So her interprofessional collaboration, for example, highlights the different ways in which she sees her interprofessional work. So this is another structural idea about ePortfolio, is that some of those larger concepts can stretch across multiple experiences. Quick look at Munib's ePortfolio. This one project is an audio project that he completed to highlight the ways that his coursework helped to inform him as he stepped into a role during the COVID pandemic. There's an opportunity for comments on the project, so you'll see myself and some of his professors commented. Finally, we will focus on Jordan's site. She's an education major, minor in writing, and was a DigiSpace consultant on my team. You'll see in her portfolio that she has this as part of her About page, including buttons. Because she is an education major, she has the Maine State Teaching Standards, and this is where she demonstrates that she meets those standards. You'll see that she has artifacts linked along with her reflection on those artifacts and how they help to show that she meets this standard. Jordan also includes work from the DigiSpace and her writing courses. She's got some communication courses, which include video projects. Jordan's portfolio highlights most of her professional skills. In just this few examples of ePortfolios, students are able to highlight other high-impact practices as well as co-curricular experiences that help them build skills. We usually start with some training. I help you incorporate your current course curriculum so it's not additional projects. Instead, looking at what you've already got and maybe figuring out how to capture some of that learning in an ePortfolio. SASE offers digital support as well. And as you go, you're helping your students build their digital skills to create that professional web presence that we hope that students will maintain as they continue to reflect within their professions. Since this presentation was given in person, I had folks fill out a sheet to match their description, but because this is a recording, if you would like to learn more, you can contact me, and you can consider maybe not just trying this out on your own, but perhaps partnering with somebody who has an interest in also developing ePortfolio skills. That partner does not have to be in your department. It may be another partner whose department works well with yours, such as an education and history mat. If you are not quite ready yet to dive into ePortfolio or to consider how it might be useful for your students, we can check in later. Feel free to email me with questions, or if you'd like more resources, I would be happy to provide those. Thank you so much for your interest in ePortfolio.